Good morning, everybody. Pastor Rick here, Broadman Baptist Church. This is the Broadman Word for May 4th, 2022, and today's title is Three Things. Continuing our talk about how to live out Easter, how to live resurrected. And today we're talking about a little bit downstream, kind of moving on from the events of Easter, but moving into a practical look at today. And after Jesus Christ left. You know, when the apostles witnessed the ascension, it must have been quite the thing. They must have felt lost and scared, unsure of what to do. They were probably wondering, how are we going to get this done? Overwhelmed, probably, even. And I'm sure they had some fear as well, because they didn't know what the Sanhedrin or the Pharisees or the Romans were going to do, how they would be received back in Jerusalem, if in fact that's where they went. So I want to talk to you today about today, because Jesus has not come back yet, although we have that hope. We know that from the prophecy, from Jesus's words, and we know when the ascension happened that two angels came by in robes and said that he would be back, but we didn't know when, and of course Jesus told us that as well. But still, we're out here and there's a lot going on. The world has changed dramatically, and a lot of times it's easy for us to not know what to do, to probably even feel scared about sharing the gospel or what's going to happen, the pushback and the aggression that we might receive from delivering the truth of the gospel. Also, we might not know exactly what to do or how to go about it. We have a big job to do. The job has never changed from the day Jesus left to now. The job is still the same, but there may be questions about how. It's a big job and it could be overwhelming. So I want to point us to what the apostles did when they had this same situation. Only a little bit more dramatically, because they were literally facing prison or beatings or both, or even death themselves, because it had only been about 6 weeks, not quite 6 weeks, since Jesus had been crucified. And now they're faced with starting the New Testament church, the post-ascension church, and the apostolic age. So let's take a look now at what they did. The first thing they did was they went right back to Jerusalem. They were not going to leave their home. Jesus had told them to wait, and so that's what they did. They went back to Jerusalem. And the first thing they did was they got together in the upper room and they prayed. They consecrated their actions in prayer. Consecrate's a great big word, but it just means to put up for verification, to put before the Lord, to receive verification that you're in God's will through prayer, lifting up your situation, your desires, your needs to God in prayer, to consecrate what it is you're about to do, to make sure it is in fact in the will of God. So first thing they did was pray, and that's the first of the three things I want to talk to you about. They got together, and in corporate prayer as a community, they prayed. So you have opportunities for corporate prayer. It's from 9:30 to 9:45 every Sunday at Broadman. We also have corporate prayer on Wednesdays after our lessons. And this week is a special week. Tomorrow is the National Day of Prayer, and you have an opportunity to join us out at the cross at 6:30, if there's good weather, if not inside at 6:30, and have a corporate time of prayer. But it is important, when the apostles were not sure what to do, when they were scared, when they were looking for guidance and wisdom, they went to God with it. They praised and blessed God through their prayers and their actions in praying. And that's what we need to do now. So item number 1 is prayer. The item number 2 I want to talk to you about is they dealt with their business. Peter needed to deal with the situation with Judas. He had just betrayed Jesus not too long ago. And it was a stain on the community, and there were things that needed to be discussed. They also needed to replace Judas, and they generally needed to get the business of the church done. They needed to be together in community, and they needed to be engaged in making decisions on how to move forward. So item number 2 today is your corporate engagement. How often are you actually involved in the life of Broadman? How often are you involved in the life of your church if you're not one of the members of Broadman? Do you go to the discipleship meetings? Do you have a small group? Do you go to Sunday school? Do you attend the business meetings? Are you on the church council, or are you involved in some sort of ministry? How engaged are you in the business of deciding and shaping the vision and the movement of the congregation right where you are? For us, it's here in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. That's critical, because that is the second thing that the New Testament church, the apostolic aged church, did, is they got together and they started taking care of business. They talked things out. They made some decisions. They actually voted on Matthias to replace Judas. And they started the ministry. They started the church. They got things going. So it's critical for you to be engaged in the life of your church, in serving the church, in shaping the vision and the direction of the church, so that we can be the kind of engaged body, dedicated body, moving in one direction for the good purposes of God, that is exampled for us in the very first New Testament church in Jerusalem. So, engage. Third, they actually went out and started evangelizing. So that is how they grew. That is how the gospel message gets spread. That is how the good news of Jesus Christ, the knowledge of who Jesus is and what happened, the example of you living a resurrected life, they lived it out. And so that living out of the gospel of Jesus Christ required them to let people know about Jesus, to evangelize the life, the truth, the way, and the life. And so the third thing for us then to evaluate is, how is your evangelism working? Who and what and when? You have to be purposeful and intentional. You have to have a plan, and you have to engage that plan based on your desire to bless God, to bring all honor and glory to God through the example of your life, your resurrected life that you're living out, letting that sink into others so that then they can be drawn to the cross through the ministry of reconciliation that Jesus left us with. And so hopefully through that process, God places a call upon their heart and brings them into the family of God. So, 3 things in summary. How's your corporate prayer life? How is your engagement? How are you serving? How is your evangelism? And those 3 things need to be where you start every single day. Checking those boxes, because why? Not because I said so, not because we need any particular number of people. It's because that is how the New Testament church was exampled to us. If we do it any other way, we lack in any one of those 3, then we are not going to be fulfilling God's call for Broadman anywhere. Not in Cuyahoga Falls, not in Ohio, the nation, or the world. Things only work well when we do them per God's direction specifically, or his example for us. And here in the book of Acts, when Jesus left, we have an example of 3 very clear directions and actions that were taken by the New Testament church as a congregation. As individuals in a congregation, this is how they went about having church. So listen, brothers and sisters, I love you. I hope you have a marvelous day. Think about the 3 things, make a plan, and then pick up your cross and go. Take care. We'll see you next time.